I put a battery in this, right? Was anybody watching?
No.
I think I did. Yeah, I did.
I'm not sure. Put a battery in it.
Well, that is good. Okay, good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
We are sponsored by A.B. Spry for the Refuah Shalem of Taiba Reis Bas Hinda and for Sivugim for their daughter and grandchildren. Also, we're sponsored by Shelley Zeitlin for my Refuah Meshmeah ben Esther Fradel, Shimon ben Sarah Miriam, and for the gesund and well-being of his children Eli, Orit, and Ora. We are also anonymously sponsored for the spiritual, emotional, and physical protection of Yeshua Menachem Mendel ben Bela Shendel Rivka. And we are having in mind tonight Le'ilui Nishmas, that great Asken, the greatest, I think, in my lifetime, Rav Moshe Scherer, whose yahrzeit is tonight, Rav Moshe ben Chaim Yehuda, his neshama should have an aliyah. I will tell you that something that
My wife, the yahrzeit was yesterday, I'm sorry.
You mean your yahrzeit was today, during the day?
Today, yes, today.
Yeah. Okay. It's not 72 minutes yet. I'll tell you something that I know about him. Until he got sick, he didn't miss a Moyetzes Gedolei HaTorah meeting for 50 years. 50 years he didn't miss a meeting. I once sent him a letter that I marvel at his ability, that he always accepted the view of the Moyetzes Gedolei HaTorah over his own very, very knowledgeable opinion of circumstances. Now, he did that when he was under the leadership of Rav Lezer Silver, Rav Aaron Kotler, Rav Saratskin. Then afterwards under Rav Moshe and Rav Yaakov, and then after people younger than him, Rav Palm and Rav Gifter, and he was Mavatal Das to all of them. He was absolutely an extraordinary individual who created a platform for the Gedolim in America like no other. You know, you have a diamond, but you have to make a setting. He created the setting. He also presided over an aguda that saw the end of Shabbos discrimination and really put the aguda on the map in the halls of Washington and in the arena of the government for the better of Klal Yisrael. Yehi Zichrei Baruch. We are holding, as the Olam is slowly turning in, we are holding on Daf Yud Zayin Amud Beis by Itmar, which is 8 lines from the bottom. Itmar, 8 lines from the bottom. Abaya Amar Mishmei Reb Chia Barav Chayiv Shtayim. When a man has beer with his wife, finds out in the middle that she's a nida, and then doesn't wait until his organ goes limp, but goes out right away, he's chayiv 2 chatas. First for sleeping with her, and then for going out and enjoying going out with a hard limb. V'chein amar Rava amar Rav Shmuel bar Shava amar Rav Huna chayiv shnayim. He's chayiv twice, choda aknisa for entering, the choda aprisha, and one for going out while his aver is hard. So have bar Rabba wondered b'mai. Now we know that a woman keeps a calendar of her nidus. If she's a healthy woman, she has a cycle. So she keeps a calendar. So ilema samach levesta, if it's near when she's expecting to have her period, that means that she was supposed to have her period on the 8th of the month. So he's supposed to separate from her that entire 12 hours. So if he slept with her during those 12 hours, Obaman, Ilema betalmid chacham, so Bishleima Knisa Lichayev, we could understand why he's chayev for entering. Kasavar Yechayleni Livo. He felt that he had enough time to have beer with her before she gets her period. Ela Prisha Amai Lichayev, but for going out, if he's a Talmid Chacham, he knows that he's not allowed to go out while the aver is hard. So why should he be chayev a korban meizidu? That's a deliberate action. He should be chayev koros. V'iba amoritz, and if he's an amoritz that doesn't know that you have to separate from your wife in the time of her expected period, and he doesn't know that you can't go out when the organ is hard, so then ID v'ID, both of them is a chiyuv nida in one state of unawareness. So it's 2 times sleeping with a nida in one state of unawareness, you only chayev 1 chatas, because ID v'ID ochel shnei zeisei chelev be'elam echadu. It's like eating 2 kazaisim of chelev in one state of unawareness, you only chayev 1 chatas. Ve'ela, it must be b'she'ein samach levesta. It must be that it wasn't her expected time to get her period. Ubaman, ilema b'talmid chacham. If it's a talmid chacham, he shouldn't be chayiv any chatas. Lo yichada, lo mechayiv aknisa. He shouldn't be lo yichada lo mechayiv. He shouldn't be mechayiv even 1 chatas. Aknisa, because when he had slept with her, since it wasn't her vest, honest. That's accidental. You're not chayiv chatas for an accident. Aprisha, and since he's a talmid chacham, he knows he's not allowed to pull out when with erect aver, mezid. And iba amaretz, and if he's an amaretz, chadahu nemechayiv, he's not chayiv for the bia because it wasn't the vest. He's only chayiv 1 chatas, aprisha, for going out. Hadam Rava, no. La'olam b'samach levesta. It's talking about it was near her expected time, within those 12 hours. U'b'talmid chacham. And he thought he would have enough time to do it, so that makes it a shoygeg on the knisa. And he didn't know about the din that you have to wait till the aver is limped, because the Talmid Chacham Lazu, he's a Talmid Chacham for one, but the ain't Talmid Chacham Lazu, he's not a Talmid Chacham for the other. And it's not considered in one helam, because when he was with her and she said, I'm a nida, so that he realized, so it says he realized his sin, and then he didn't know about the din that you have to wait until it gets limp, so that's another awareness, and therefore he's chayiv 2 chatas.
Why is that a shaygig? I thought shaygig is if you don't know that something is asa.
Yeah, so here he didn't know it was asa.
No, on the way in. He said he thought he came out, oh, well, that's not a shaygig, that's more carb blindness or ayness.
So the Gemara is telling us it's a shaygig.
Even if you know that it's Aser and everything.
Right.
When it says Knisa, it's probably Lapdafka because the Knisa, nothing happened. She wasn't in Nida at that point. So it's just the Bia, probably, what it means, Knisa.
No, the Knisa means that the Maisa is, no, because when she said that she's a Nida, we assume that she bled before that.
Oh.
Now, Amar Rava, Ukevayu Tanina, both the Knisa and the Prisha that it's Chai V'chatas, we learned both of them. Knisa Tanina, the entering that Yechai V'chatas we learned, and Prisha Tanina. And for going out with the limb erect, we learned. Prisha Tanina, that's what we learned in our Mishnah. The Ktani, how you mishamish im atayra, if he was mishamish with her while she was tahar, v'amru loy nitmeisi, and she said to him, I became tamei, upirish miyad, and he separated immediately, chayif, because he separated and he had benefit, pleasure when he went out. Knisa Tanina, also upon entry we already learned, because we learned if he had bia with her, and after they have bia, they check their genitals with a cloth. Nimtza al shaloi, if he found blood on his cloth, that means a man doesn't have blood. So that means that when he was with her, she was bleeding. Tmein, they're both tamei. V'chayovim b'karban, and they're chayav b'karban. Now, why is he chayav b'karban? My la b'samach levesta, isn't it talking about we was with her during the 12 hours that she was suspected to have her vest? V'aknisa, and he's chayav for the entry during that time. Amalei Ravada bar Masna the Rava, so Ravada bar Masna the Rava said to Rava, who says? Maybe it means that he's chayav for going out right away. And he's not chayav for the entry, va'aprisha, and for going out. So you'll say, but we already learned that going out, you're chayav. What do we need to learn it again? V'chi tema, and if you'll say prisha lamali, why does it have to say that you're chayav for going out? Ha tanalei, we already learned it in our Mishnah. So tanalei ha, it's lashminan, the other halacha, and that's if he doesn't find it on his cloth, only she finds it on her cloth. Now it could be that she bled after the bia. She wiped herself, maybe she bled first after they were together. Nimsa al shalah, tameim b'safik, they're tamei out of doubt, upturin min hakar, and they're potted. This means that they're even potted from bringing an ashim toli. Why? You'll say, but it is a doubt. The reason why they're potter is you only have an ashim toli if there was a definite isser, you're just not sure if you ate it or not. Here, there might not have been an isser. She might not have been needed at all. She might have bled only afterwards. V'aydi debayin misna nimsal shalah, found on hers, tananami nimsal shalah. Says Ravina to Ravada Barav. Says Ravina to Ravada. This is really a knockout question. Says Ravina to Ravada, mi matzis l'ukmalahi b'shaloi samach levesta. Could you say that it's talking about where it wasn't near her expected time, and therefore the chiyuv is not for the entry, because that was an einus, va'aprisha. But how could you be mechayev him for going out right away? It says that only after he wiped himself did he know that she was a nida. So that implies that until then he didn't know. V'nimtza katani, v'nimtza lebacha hasi mashma. That implies that he found out only after he went out. V'iya prisha, if you want to make him chayev for going out while he's erect, may karaki parishle. Then v'iya prisha may kara ki parishle may kara avile yedia. Then he knew about it from before. Amalei Rava, Tzayis Mai Dekame Rabbach. Listen to what your Rebbe is saying. That he's saying that the chiyuv is for the going out and not for the entry, because the heichi matzis. How would you explain otherwise the Tanya Allah that it says about it, Zui mitzvah saseh shebenida shechayav olah. This is a positive act by nida that you're chayav for. In other words, the positive act is that you're supposed to wait until the aver goes limp. And if you don't wait until the aver goes limp, then you're chayiv. But v'im isa, if it is that you shouldn't have gone in because it was samach levesta, mitzvahs loisasehi. So he said to him, then it's a negative command not to enter during the vest, during the expected time. Amalei, so he said, itanina, if there is such a brisa, then chaser. Then it's a chsure mechsera. There's something missing in the text. V'tani hachi. But rather you should have the brisa as follows. Zui mitzvahs loisaseh shebenida, that you're not allowed to go in samach levest. Shechayav olah. However, if he was sleeping with a woman who was star, and she said, I got defiled, upiresh miyad, and he separated immediately, rather than staying in until the aver became limp. So you're supposed to do something positive. You're supposed to stay in until it becomes limp. Zui mitzvah saseh shebenida. This is a positive act by nida that you're chayiv on. Amamar pirish miyad chayiv. If he goes out immediately, he's chayiv. Now the question is, but aren't you worried that if you stay in there, he's going to ejaculate, which is even worse? So, heichi of it, what should he do? So he should, Amar Rav Huna Mishmei de Rava, noyetz eser tziparn of bekarka. He should, they sometimes slept on the floor. So you should stick your 10 nails into the ground, which is what Yosef HaTzadik did, right, to contain oneself, ad sheyamas, until the aver becomes limp, and v'tuve, and it will be good for him that he exercise such control. Now that's interesting. That means that when he comes out with a limp organ, he's not chayiv. So Amar Rava Zoysei Meris, this should prove that I'm a shamesh meis ba'arayis, if somebody commits adultery with a limp organ. No, his organ was not hard when he slept with her. Potter. The Yisrael kedai chayiv, because if a limp organ is also chayiv, hacha my time a potter. What's the reason why he's potter? And if you'll say mishum da'anasu, because he didn't know when he lay down with her that she was going to bleed, so then he anasu kipirish miyad nami nifter. Even if he goes out immediately, it should be potter anasu. Says the Gemara, no. Really, even if you sleep with a married woman with a limp organ, you're also chayiv. Here, why should you wait till the organ gets limp? Because your entry was before you knew she was a nida. And when you exit, you should exit with the least pleasure possible. V'hada amrit, and that which we say, keep parish miyad, if you go out immediately, amai chayiv, sha'ayaloi lifresh ba'na mu'ates, because you're expected to go out with less pleasure. Upiresh ba'na meruba, and you went out with more pleasure. Amalei Rabba Bar Hanan Labaya, you know, by the Beis Hamikdash we said that there's a difference between arucha and ktsara. Arucha, if you go out the long way, you're chayiv. If you go out the short way, you're pater. So it comes out here also there's a long way and a short way. Why is it only said by kachim, a long way and a short way? Amalei Rabba Bar Hanan Labaya, im kein matzinu arucha uktsara benida. We only find this idea of a long way and a short way by nida, but wait, Vanan, here we have also a long way and a short way. Vanan b'mikdashtan. We only learned it by the mikdash. So the Gemara says, of course, because they're opposites. In the mikdash, the long way you're chayiv, the short way you're pater. Here, the short way you're chayiv, if you go out right away. The long way you stay in, you're pater. Alamishim deloy dami, arucha dahacha, ksara dahasam. The long way over here that you're pater is like the short way in the mikdash. Arucha dahasam, the long way over there, where you're chayiv if you go out the long way, ksara dahacha is like over here when you go out the short way and you have pleasure. Says the Gemara, Mi Amar Abaya Onesu, did Abaya say that it's an oinus? Alma b'shaloi samach levesta kamrina. But Abaya da Amar chayiv shtayim. Abaya says you're chayiv twice. So that means when you're chayiv twice that you're chayiv for the entry too, and the entry could only be that you're chayiv if it's samach levesta. Alma b'samach levesta askina. And then when you exit, you can't say you're an einus. Says the Gemara, ki itmar da Abaya, that it's an einus ba'alma itmar. That's talking about when it was loy samach levesta, and taka over there, you wouldn't be chayiv achatas for entering. Now, boy minei, Rabbi Yonasan ben Rabbi Yosi ben Lekunya, Rabbi Yonasan the son of Yosi, the son of Lekunya. Now, when it says that, that means that there's other Rabbi Yonasan ben Rabbi Yosis. That's why it has to say ben Lekunya. This is a Rabbi Yonasan ben Rabbi Yosi, who is the son of Lekunya, not the other Rabbi Yonasan ben Rabbi Yosi. How do we know that you can't sleep with a menstruant? Minatayr. So at first, that sounds like a ridiculous question. It sounds like a ridiculous question. Shaka Kola, he took a clod of earth and pasuk bay, and he threw it at him. That's a very sure pasuk. You're not allowed to go to close to a woman when she's a menstruant. Ella ashara lemishamesh imatahira, a warning that if you sleep with a kosher woman, v'amrle nitmeisi delo nifresh miyad, that you shouldn't go out immediately minala. How do we know that? Amachizkiya amakra, the pasuk says v'tihi nidasa yalav. Her nidas should stay with him. There's a time where he should stay with her as a nida. Afilu b'shas nidasa teheyalav. Even while she's a nida, she should still be with him. When he finds out in the middle, he shouldn't leave immediately. So that's an assay. It says v'tihi nidasa alav. That's an assay. So ashkechan assay. Lo yisaseh minalan. Where do we know a negative prohibition? So answers the Gemara, Amra Papa Amra Kra Loi Sikrav. Says the Gemara, it says to a woman that's a nida Loi Sikrav. Now Loi Sikrav also could mean don't come close to yourself. In other words, don't come out and come close to yourself. Loi sikrav nami loi sifrishu. That also means don't separate from her and come closer to yourself. Dichsiv ha'imrim, the litzanim, the scoffers said, Krave lecha, stay close to yourself. Al tigash bi, don't come near me, ki kidashticha, for I am tomei. Kidashticha in this sense means I am separate, I am tomei. Now before I continue, I want to take the opportunity to welcome everybody in. We welcome in Shelley Zeitlin, and Saba, and Irving Fishbaum, and Mel Zachter, Shimon Klein, Barry Cement, Rib Kaniel, Dr. Guy, Eddie Chazan, Dr. Black, Shalom Fogel, Dov Solkowitz, Yaakov Warman, Rabbi Kranz, Elliot Udell, Yitzi Fuchs, Nachman Chapler, Nachum Umansky, Stephen Holtzman, Naftali Jablin, Moshe Lehman, Elia Shutman, Yitzi Muller, Yeshua Shmuel Eisenberg, and we need to send out the truancy police for Marshall. He's missed a bunch of days in a row. Shelley, you should send him a message, a threatening message. And Eddie, you didn't insult Marshall or anything, did you?
He sent a message just now that he's on vacation, though.
Oh, he's on vacation. Oh, if I had a penny for every time somebody has an excuse like that. I mean, Shalom, when he's on vacation, he comes. Even when he's babysitting in Baltimore. Anyway, we hope he has a nice time. I was just going to say I'm missing Richard, and here he is. We welcome in Richard Rosenzweig. It's nice to have you join us, Richard, as we are on Daf Yud Ches Amid Beis. Yud Ches Amid Beis, and let's give Richard the coordinates. We're holding by Tana Rabbanan, which is 18 lines from the top of Daf Yud Ches Amid Beis, 18 lines from the top. We welcome here in the shul, Berish Gesseman, Gedalia Engel. Gedalia, it's really good to have you, really good. Avram Rezepkowitz, Chaim Kramer, Michal Avram, Ruvain Shannon. Look at this. We have a Rav Minyan here tonight. That's the way I like it. I'd like it better if we have a Minyan, but Rav Minyan is also good. I will also say, before I go further, that this week I was informed that after doing it for about 2.5 years, my sponsor for the segment known as for the Shabbos table is choosing to end his sponsorship. So we are looking for a sponsor for the Shabbos table. I will tell you that usually that share on TorahAnytime.com alone has 500 viewers, and then there's usually about 100 on YouTube, and who knows how many hundreds on Kol HaLashon. So that share, which we do every week Thursday night, is $200 to sponsor. Anybody wants to grab that, it's a steal, 718-916-3100, rmmwsi@aol.com. Now the Gemara tells us, Tana Rabbana, V'izartem es b'nei Yisrael mitum asam. You should separate the b'nei Yisrael from their tumah. Amar Rabbi Yoshia says, Mikana azhara l'bnei Yisrael sheyifreshum nesheiseim samach levesta. That they don't only separate from their wives when they start bleeding, but they look at the calendar and they separate before that. The kama Amarabba Ona in the 12 hours of their period. If they're expecting the period on the 8th in the day, so they separate from the morning of that day. If it's in the night, they separate from the beginning of that evening. Am Reb Yochanan Mishum Reb Shimon Yochai Kol she'ena parish me'ishtei samach levesta. whoever doesn't separate from his wife near her expected period, afilu havin lo banim k'bnei Aaron, even though those children might have grown up to be like the Bnei Aaron, Mesim, they'll die when they're young. So it's a very, very, very serious infraction not to do the harchaka of nida. Now, says the Gemara, because it says, V'yizartem es b'nei Yisrael metumasam, v'adava b'nidasa, and one who is tamei with her flow, v'samachle, and nearby it says, achrei mois b'nei Aaron. So we see that it's a fatal mistake not to take precautions. On the other hand, whoever separates from his wife near her expected period, will be blessed with male children. If they are careful to differentiate between Tumah and Tara and take precautions to separate beforehand, the samachle, and it says nearby, Isha kichzazriya v'yolda zacha, a woman who conceives and has a child. Rabbi Shimon Levi Aimer, not only that, having leibanim ru'uyin l'hara, the children will be fit to paskin, dichsiv la'avdil, to differentiate ulahoros, and to make halachic decisions. Amar Reb Chiya bar Abba, Amar Reb Yochanan, kol hamavdil al hayayin, whoever does havdalah on wine versus grape juice versus chamar medina b'motzoi Shabbos, havin leibanim zecharim, will have male children. This is advice that Rav Chaim Kanievsky gave to a lot of childless couples. He gave all kinds of different advice, but one of the things that he told to many parents is to be mavdal on wine.
Is it chus for older people?
Huh?
Is there a chus for older people to do wine? I mean, you're beyond your years of approval.
Well, the older the schus is that they're honoring the Shabbos, so it has all of the rewards of kol mechaber es Shabbos. Now, the Gemara says we'll have male children. The chsiv lahavdil bein hakodesh ubein hachol, to separate between the holy and the mundane, which is what we do in Havdalah. V'ksiv hasam, and in a similar use of the word lahavdil, it says right before Shmini, lahavdil bein hatamei and hatar, v'samachlei, and nearby it says Isha kisazriya v'yolda zacher. And not only that, if you havdil on wine, Rabbi Shimon Levi amabanim ru'yad ma'ira, the children will be fit for psak. That could be something that applies even to older people. Dichsiv lahavdilu lahoros. Amar Rabbi Binyamin bar Yafes, Amar Rabbi Lazar, kol hamekadeshes atzmai b'shash tashmish. Whoever sanctifies himself in the time of tashmish, he acts modestly. He doesn't act wantonly, and he also behaves properly with his wife, not rough with his wife. Havin leibanim zecharim, will have male children. Shenema v'skadishtem v'yisem kedoshim. You sanctify yourself and you're holy. V'samachlei isha kizazriya v'yolda zacher. Now we go back to the Mishnah. Rebbe Eliezer Aimer hasheretz v'nela mimeno. Yochai v'karben oila v'yored, if there was a time that you didn't know that you were tamei sheretz. Rabbi Kiva says tuma v'nela mimeno. You're chayiv if you weren't aware that you were tamei. So now it sounds like that Rabbi Eliezer and Rabbi Kiva saying the same thing. However, so the Gemara asks, "My beinayu, what's the difference between Rabbi Eliezer and Rabbi Kiva?" The difference is whether he's chayiv a carbon oila v'yared only if he knows at the end what kind of a tumah he became tamei from. Rabbi Eliezer suffer ba'inan adiyada ibesheretz itamei ibenaveli itamei. You need to know whether he became tamei from a sheretz or he became tamei from a nevela. Rabbi Kiva Savar, as long as he finds out that he was Tameh, he doesn't have to know the nature of the Tameh. Rabbi Kiva Savar, like, but inan adiyada. The cave and the yada, he Tameh ba'olam, since he knows that he became Tameh, like tzarech, it's not necessary to know the type of Tameh. I b'sheretzi Tameh, I b'neveli Tameh. The Chayin Amar Ula, and so did Ula say, sheretz b'neveli ikebenayu. Says the Gemara, the Ula Rami, the Rebbe Eliezer, the Rebbe Eliezer, Umeshani. Ula asked the stira Rebbe Eliezer on Rebbe Eliezer, and he answered it. Mi Amar Rebbe Eliezer, ba'inan adiyada ibesheretz itame ibenevela itame. Did Rebbe Eliezer say that you need to know if you became tamei from a sheretz or you became tamei from a nevela? For a mini, Amar Rebbe Eliezer manavshach. Rebbe Eliezer says you don't have to know why you were chayav achatis. What is the chorus that you did? Manavshach. Chaylev achal chayav, noiser achal chayav. What's the difference if it was chaylev, forbidden fat, or noiser, a carbon that was left after its time? Shabbos chilul chayav, Yom Kippurim chilul chayav. So you don't have to know if it was Shabbos that you were mechal or Yom Kippur that you were mechal. Ishtay nida ba'al chayav, if your wife was a nida and you slept with your chayav, achaysei ba'al chayav. If it was your sister, you don't have to know. Amalei Rabbi Yeshua. Rabbi Yeshua said, "What do you mean? Harehu Aimer oy hoida ilav chatasai asher chataba." Or it became known the sin that he sinned with. So you have to know which sin. So you see over here, Rabbi Eliezer says you don't have to know if what precise the sin was. Chaylev or Noiser, Shabbos or Yom Kippur, a wife that's a nida or a sister. While over here you have to know whether it was a sheretz or if it was a mace. So the Gemara answers, Umeshani, Ula answers the stira, Hasam asher chata. Over there it just says that you sinned. So it's enough to know that you sinned. Asher chata v'hevi amarachman. Chet kolshu. Whatever sin it was, it has to be a sin of a chiyav kares, that's enough. Hacha, it says extra. Michtei ksiv b'chol davar tamei. With anything that's tamei, oy b'nivla sheretz tamei lamali. Why does it have to repeat? Or with a dead sheretz? It already said b'chol dvar tamei. It repeats it shmami no, but inon ad yoda you have to know either sheretz it may, if you came tamei from a sheretz, even nevela it may, or you became tamei from a nevela. If you don't know that, you wouldn't be chayiv a carbon oil v'yared. We're also looking for a sponsor for the Chumash here. We do not have that. 718-916-3100, rmmwsi@aol.com. Thank you for joining us, and have a wonderful evening.